Hi, everybody. Thank you for being with us today. Sivan from The Vegan Woman here. I am super excited to host our Vegan Activist of the Month, Dr. LeAnne Campbell. She is the author of the China Study Cookbook. She is the founder and the president of Global Root. She's the daughter of Dr. Colin Campbell, and she's a vegan mother of two. Thank you so much, LeAnne, for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you with us. And
I am too.
I have so many questions for you. So before we dive in, I just have to mention something that I think is absolutely wonderful, and that is the inspirational, super inspirational family that you come from. Your father, Dr. Colin Campbell, is really a pioneer in our time in terms of nutrition, in terms of the work he's doing with everything from the China study to his nutrition classes, his lectures, and his articles. Really a great inspiration. And it seems that your family has very much gathered around his work as well, and not just supported him, but also took an active part in his work. So would you like to maybe tell our audience a little bit more about what you and your brother Nelson and Thomas have been doing in this field as well?
Oh, yes. I think all three of us, my oldest brother Nelson and my youngest brother Tom, I think we've all had at least one project that's been directly connected to my dad's work. And a lot of this comes down to, I mean, if you look here in the United States, we have the highest rate of pharmaceutical use in the world. That is, we have the highest use of prescription drugs per capita in the world. And is this making us healthier? I would say absolutely not. Because by all indicators, we also have the worst health among economically developed countries. So prescription drugs are not working. And at the same time, 2 out of 3 American adults are overweight or obese, leading to all kinds of medical problems. And half of all Americans currently have risk factors for heart disease, high blood pressure, high HDL cholesterol. So we need to do something differently, and we can. So with my father's research, he is demonstrating that these diseases, as you know, can be treated directly with the whole food plant-based diet. When you eat right, you don't need the drugs. And this is where my work with Global Roots comes into play. We have a 7-day health immersion program located in a beautiful Caribbean resort where we provide a fun, relaxing, and educational environment, allowing people to experience firsthand the health benefits of a plant-based lifestyle. So this is a neat opportunity for people to jumpstart their health, to learn, to eat, to cook, and to enjoy a plant-based lifestyle. And going to my brothers, my youngest brother Tom, together with his wife, is currently directing the first nutrition medical program with this message at the University of Rochester Medical School. And then my oldest brother Nelson is the director of a new movie documentary, working with the same producer who produced the Forks Over Knives documentary and a film called Plant Pure Nation. It was just recently released, and it's now being shown in over 100 theaters across the U.S.
I've actually watched that movie. I got the chance to see the documentary when we were on the Holistic Holiday at Sea cruise, and we got a chance to see it. You know, we were, I think, one of the first to see it. We were seeing it for the first time with his father. Your father was also there and seeing it for the first time. And I have to say, I totally recommend this movie. You should definitely go to theaters and watch it if you get a chance. It's absolutely fantastic. It's really rare and unique to see a family really coming together with the same message, and you know, so much in tune with each other and each other's work. So how would you explain this? How would you explain that your family really came together around this work?
I think, you know, because we've all seen that it works. I mean, it absolutely works. We have absolutely no doubt about it. In fact, you know, I've raised, and in my brother's cases, they're currently raising children on this type of diet. I've raised both of my sons, who are now 21 and 20 years of age, completely on a plant-based diet. They've never had red meat. I can honestly say they've never had red meat, pork, sausage, ham. And, you know, health-wise, they've been excellent. My oldest son, as I said, he's 21. He's 6 foot 4 inches. He was an all-state first-team soccer player in one of the most competitive states. My youngest son also, who's almost 6 foot, he was also a star athlete. And like I said, they were rarely sick, and they've always been very healthy. And so, I mean, I've seen it firsthand. And also at the same time, you know, my father receives on a daily basis testimonials from people across the world. They've read the China study, they've learned about the research, they've been convinced enough of this research to convert themselves to a plant-based diet. And, you know, they're just basically writing to thank him because it's really worked for them, often reversing very serious health problems and different kinds of illnesses. And they're getting off all their meds, and often within a very short period of time, you know, just maybe even a 1-month period. And, you know, just these stories that he's hearing, and he's always sharing them with us, that in itself is inspirational. You know, it works. And so, you know, this is, I think, why we've supported it and we've gathered around it.
Amazing. So. Yeah. Thank you for that. It is amazing. And you mentioned health benefits in the first few chapters of your cookbook. You kind of talk about the reasons and what brought you as an individual to eating a plant-based diet. And you recognize a few reasons. You recognize health, as you've mentioned just now. You recognize animal treatment, and you recognize the distribution of resources and let's say social justice as well as reasons that brought you to this type of diet. But I'm wondering, what made you specifically decide to write a cookbook rather than, let's say, a theoretical book that discusses all those different issues?
Absolutely. So as you noted, I personally came to a lot of these conclusions mainly for humanitarian, environmental, and ethical reasons. And this actually happened the same time that my dad was becoming convinced through his own research that a plant-based diet is the optimal diet for one's health. And so after he wrote the China study, at the same time his publisher kept, you know, telling, oh, where's the how-to book? Where's the follow-up? And so I actually decided to write this book and do the follow-up because, you know, I had been eating this way, and had been raising my children now on this diet for over 15 years. And it was something easy to do because, you know, a lot of the recipes and a lot of the dishes from this book came from the food that we were cooking all the time. And also I had friends, a lot of friends, who saw what we were doing, and I was talking to them about it, and they wanted to know how to do this, but they didn't know how. And I think, actually, to be totally honest with you, I think that's probably the hardest part, is how do I cook this way? And I came from it from a slightly different angle because I've always been incredibly busy. And also while I was in grad school, which for 4 years, a good bit of my time, I had a limited salary, a crazy, ridiculous work schedule, and we were still able to do it. So I wanted to share how you can still cook this way, fast, easy, and satisfying meals without really increasing your weekly food budget. And I did this book actually with my sons. And so it was at the same time, it was a fun family project. My oldest son took all the pictures. It was something that we had always been doing. And so it was a really fun project that yeah.
That's wonderful, really wonderful. You know, you mentioned, you know, cooking and everything, and I think food is really the center here. But one of the things that I noticed, for example, as a vegan woman, is that we deal with a lot of people that are very confused between veganism and a plant-based diet. So as a vegan woman, we always try to kind of clarify that those are two different things, that veganism is about ethics and about a lifestyle that really revolves around those ethics, and it can be encompass so many different things within our life, while a plant-based diet is really about what we eat, our food choices. But there is another difference, that another distinction that I've really come to understand the full extent of recently when I was I'm still doing your father's plant-based nutrition certificate at the moment. It's an amazing course, and I'm loving it. And I've really come to realize that there is another big difference, not just between, you know, veganism and a plant-based diet, but between eating vegan and eating a whole food plant-based diet. So I think maybe if you could explain the difference between the two, because I'm not sure everybody understands the difference, and also most importantly, why is this distinction so important to make?
Yes, I actually think that's an excellent question. You know, you can be vegan and you can be a very unhealthy. You can basically eat a very highly processed diet, potato chips, beer, Oreo cookies, etc., throughout the entire day. And for me, I think when I think about the overall reason and all the reasons why I personally want to do this, and I want to see this as a sustainable movement. And I honestly, I have several friends who have told me that they've tried being a vegan, but they got sick and they needed the animal protein. They needed to go back to the animal protein. So they went back to this diet. And, you know, I was just the other day in a friend's house in Florida, and she was telling me, oh, I had to go back to the animal protein because I'm quite sick. But what were you eating? It wasn't working for them. And I, you know, I think if they were honestly consuming a whole food, unprocessed, plant-based, with a variety of incredibly rich plant-based foods, you know, with little to no added oil, they would be strong and healthy, and they would not need to go back. So for me, I want to see this as a sustainable lifestyle, and for all the reasons, the environmental reasons, you know, ethics. So I want to see this as a sustainable lifestyle, and I would like to support those to achieve this level of understanding and health. So I think we need to define it from a whole food, plant-based lifestyle.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that, LeAnne. And I think you're also doing that, educating people about that difference and about how to live that kind of healthy lifestyle in your other project, which is Global Roots. I know that Global Roots really gives people the opportunity to vacation in the Dominican Republic while nurturing their minds and nurturing their bodies, taking classes, lectures, cooking classes as well, right? Yeah, yoga, and really like taking a week to nurture themselves. And I've even read on your website that your staff, when people arrive, they take measurements of like their weight, their blood cholesterol, their the blood pressure, sorry, and that at the end of the week, they take those measurements again to show people firsthand on themselves how a plant-based diet really makes a difference. So maybe you could tell us a little bit more about this program, about Global Roots, how it even came to be. It sounds so exotic. So how did it even come to be? And I understand that it also helps fund an educational project. So maybe you could talk about that as well.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah. Well, thanks for asking this question. I think the Global Roots program actually builds upon work that I've been doing for the past 20 years. Specifically through educational programs and curricular material, with the ultimate aim in almost all of these programs to develop or foster vibrant, sustainable, and inclusive communities locally and internationally, with the intent of empowering those in all of our programs to take control of their own lives, to become connected to their own possibilities and potentials, their own communities, and to each other. Now, the Global Roots program is a slightly different twist in that it's specifically focused on a health immersion program. It's still a very educational program. And, you know, as you mentioned, the idea is to provide a path or a roadmap that allows people to get healthy and to stay healthy, where healthy is basically being informed by the best science on nutrition and disease. And, you know, we do this because we want people to experience. I think when you can experience it yourself, you really buy into it, right? You're not just being told about it, but you see it firsthand. And so through a 7-day health immersion program, we also are doing it in a very vacation, relaxed environment where participants will be immersed in a whole food plant-based diet. They'll be learning from the scientists and from the researchers about the benefits of this lifestyle, while also learning that transition. How do you do this? So we have 4 plant-based cooking made easy classes, I think, with a fantastic chef who's going to be working with us, Del Roof. This program, and what we want to try to do is get more people involved in this movement as well. So I think this program is ideal for those who need to get healthy, who need to get off their meds, and perhaps are doubtful about this approach. And I have friends, I have family members who fall into this area, my mother's brothers. But this program will actually allow one to see the immediate health benefits and see their health improve in just 1 week. It really is powerful. I mean, we record each person's weight, cholesterol, blood pressure at the beginning of the week, and then compare this to the readings at the end of the week. And the average person in just 1 week can expect to see, lose 2 to 3 pounds, lower their HDL cholesterol by an average of 30 to 40 points, and significantly reduce their blood pressure while still having fun and relaxing and a real true vacation. And like I said, all of this will happen in this beautiful setting with early morning beach walks, tropical Zumba classes, yoga classes, evening merengue and bachata dance parties, and also 2 very unique local excursions. I've lived in the Dominican Republic off and on now for the past 20 years. And so I think our excursions are really neat. We're working with some really innovative community building projects as well. So it's a whole experience, but it really will allow people to see the benefits too of this type of lifestyle.
Sounds amazing. I wish I could be there right now doing all those things.
I know. It's fun.
Sounds like great fun. That's wonderful. So thank you so much, LeAnne. We're coming close to the end of our interview now. And before we sign off, I kind of wanted to ask you one more question that has to do with the fact that you're a mother to 2 vegan children, which you mentioned before. And one of the things that I lecture about in my lectures is the challenges that people face when they go vegan, and what ways and what methods we can use to overcome those challenges in a positive, uplifting, way. And I was kind of wondering, for you as a mother, what were your biggest challenges raising vegan children, and what would you tell our audience in terms of how you overcame those challenges?
Okay. I think for me, I never doubted what I was doing. And I think that's really important. I was very convinced that this is what I had to be doing, what I had to do as a mother. But at the same time, I wanted my children, and I think this is true for all parents, that we want our children to feel confident and comfortable in their own bodies and their own skin and with their own decisions. And we want them to make their own choices as well. And so I think for me, when they were younger, to help them feel that confidence and feeling comfortable with this, I wanted them to know where their food came from. And I think that's a really important point is what are they eating, and exactly who are they eating? Where does it come from? And then at the same time, the impact that this food can have on their bodies. I mean, so they were taught this from a very, very young age, and they were educated. They became confident in what they were doing. They were very sure of this choice. Ultimately, I had sort of decided I wanted them to feel that same level of confidence. And so, knowing where their food comes from, the implications of that, not only for themselves, but for the environment and for those around them. And so for my children too, I don't think they weren't transitioning from an animal-based diet, but they never had meat. And so they never developed a taste either for meat. In fact, it was interesting. I mean, they dislike all the fake meat products. cooks. And
wish
you know,
I did. I love those.
I know. I was, yeah. And so another thing too, I think what was important was that they were taught. I taught them too, you know, how to defend themselves in the kitchen, how to prepare food, and so they were always very involved in the decision-making processes, sort of in the kitchen, what we were going to eat, what we were going to buy, and what meals to prepare. Now, I mean, they're 21, 20. They're actually excellent cooks, and I love to go visit them to see, you know, what we're having for dinner. But and so, you know, it's feeling confident, comfortable with themselves, and learning how to do it. So, yeah.
It sounds like you have two amazing boys. That's
I might
great.
be biased though, but
well, if they can cook at their age, they're really in a good place. That's fantastic. LeAnne, thank you so very much for doing this interview with us and being with us today. I'm sure our audience has really enjoyed this conversation as well. Really, thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
And to our audience, if you enjoyed this conversation and you want to learn more about Dr. LeAnne Campbell's work, you can check out the feature we have done about her on our website. And if you would like to see more of our videos, make sure you subscribe to our channel. And I can't wait to see you again soon. Take care.